All right, before we start the video, I just want two quick little shout outs. Number one is for an app called Test. Now, before you call me a shout out, I'm not being paid, not being sponsored, whatever. This is an app that was created by my friend and roommate Nick, and as well as Tony. And they have this app. It's basically a podcast app. So think of YouTube, but for podcasts. And you're able to just record from your phone and listen to podcasts on your phone. It's going to be at discovertest.com. The link is, the link is in the description down below. And yeah, it's a really cool app. Go check it out. Go support it. And one more thing, there is a NASCAR Heat 2, not 3, a NASCAR Heat 2 league being run by Richmond Raceway and in partnership with 704 Games and all those guys. And again, not being paid to say this, don't call me a sellout, but it's a really cool league. I actually feel like I might do some of it because it looks really awesome. Basically, you're gonna have like the real life schedule. It's gonna carry on for a lot of months, and there's gonna be special VIP guests, and you can read the entire article down in the description below. You'll see that right below the test app, and just go check both of them out. And now let's get on to the video. So what is this video all about? It's about my depression of being an Arsenal fan.
Yes, this is too much.
No, I'm kidding. It's not Arsenal, even though I'm wearing an Arsenal. I will always support my club. But this is about NASCAR Heat 3. Now, you've heard no announcements, you've heard no confirmations, but NASCAR Heat 3 is in the making as we speak. It is currently being developed, it is currently being made, improvements from NASCAR Heat 2 and all that good stuff. NASCAR Heat 2 DLC is basically done, so you're not going to see any more of that. Now, January, February, March, this is the time where if you guys really want to see changes in the game, this is the time to make your voice known. So, comment down below in this video, what do you want to see in NASCAR Heat 3? What improvements do you want to see? I'm guaranteed the devs will probably see this video and take some of your considerations into account, and they will decide what they can get in and what they can't. Now, the reason for making this video, I want to give some of my opinions too on what I think should be in NASCAR Heat 3. Now remember, everything is probably not going to be included because there's only 1 year gap from NASCAR Heat 2 to NASCAR Heat 3, and there are a lot of improvements that need to be made, even though there were a lot of improvements made from Heat Evolution to NASCAR Heat 2. So let's get into it. Number 1, career mode. Now, career mode was a very good step up from NASCAR Heat Evolution. I like the way it's formatted. The only problems are it's a little bit too easy. That has to be changed. The whole 5-star, 4-star, 3-star team, it has to be manipulated a little bit. It doesn't work like it should. It is too easy. The difficulty has to be a little bit harder. Obviously, it has to be built with the money actually meaning something, which should be in NASCAR Heat 3, hopefully. And it just needs a little bit more realism to it. Maybe more videos instead of just the quick 3-second cuts. Maybe some cut scenes of drivers in a garage area with some motion capture or something like that. That needs to kind of be integrated into the career mode, because right now it feels very stale, and the biggest problem is it's too easy. It's way too easy to get into a 5-star team and just destroy everyone. And even in a 3-star team, if I just create a little bit of a custom setup, I can still destroy everyone. So it's not there yet, and there needs to be a little bit more realism. There needs to be a little bit more just feeling like an actual career mode. Maybe more media reporters instead of just tweets. How about some media reporters? How about a Twitter timeline? How about just some of those things that make me actually feel like a real life driver, that can definitely distinguish this game from other games, because obviously this game's not going to be like iRacing, but it can give a career experience where that's where most of the people that buy this game are going to want to play. They're going to want to play career. So need to be focusing on career. Number 1, most important, continue to build on it. Try to make it more realistic. Try to more cutscenes. I know the developers have looked at these kind of stuff, and hopefully they can try one day getting into maybe some motion capture stuff where you actually could bring in actors and have certain cutscenes in like a garage area and render all that, and hopefully one day we'll be able to get there. I don't know about NASCAR Heat 3, but we gotta keep going in that kind of direction. Also make the difficulty a lot more harder. Number 2, the graphics. Now, this is a delicate topic because the developers have stated that you could tell by the game, the graphics are not the most important part of the game. And I agree with that. I agree with the graphics not being the most important part of the game. For me, it's always the gameplay, and they see it that way too. However, the graphics on NASCAR Heat 2 and NASCAR Heat Evolution compared to everything else on the market, every other game you can think of, not just racing, the graphics are way below par. They are very subpar for any kind of game, really, any game. Even if it's $50, $40, $30, I've played $30 games that have better graphics than NASCAR Heat 2, and that needs to be changed a little bit. There needs to be a little bit of money invested in the graphics, because right now it just looks like a cartoon. And the biggest problem with the graphics is the frame rate. You cannot make a game today in 2018 with the power that the Xbox One, PS4, and PC have. You cannot make a game that does not run 60 frames per second. Now on PC it does run 60 frames per second, but on Xbox One and PS4 it doesn't, and there are obvious situations where there's a lot of frame rate drops, especially when you're, let's say, New Hampshire and you're in the back of the field and there's a bunch of cars in front of you. You can tell the FPS is like at 15 and it's stuttering a lot, and it makes the game really hard to enjoy because it's not running properly. That's the biggest problem with the graphics. Now they also have to be improved drastically. It just doesn't look good. And to me, I was okay with it when it first came out, but after a while you just start to notice how subpar the graphics are compared to everyone else. It's really subpar. I mean, I'm not comparing it to games like Forza or F1, because those games have a lot more people working for them and a lot more money. But this game, compared to like some of the free game demos on the Xbox Marketplace, is not good enough, and it has to get better. Now I understand focusing on gameplay is a big thing, but the graphics have to improve a little bit, because right now they're not good, and the biggest focus has to be getting that frame rate to 60 frames per second without having these stutters and these glitches, because that's a really big problem. Right now on Xbox and PS4 the game is only running at best maybe 20 frames per second when you're in the middle of a pack or behind or running last. When you get in the lead, it kind of locks to 30 frames, and it's different at each track. But right now that has to get a lot better. Number 3, the driving model. Now don't get me wrong, this game by these developers will never feel like iRacing, and no game no racing game ever made on consoles, in my opinion, will ever feel like iRacing. So before you guys comment, I want it to be like iRacing, don't, because I've been on iRacing now, and trust me, there's no way for a console game to replicate what iRacing does, because iRacing is just that good. So how can we make the driving physics better for a console game? Now think about games like NASCAR Thunder 2004, think about the Technics games like NASCAR Inside Line. That game had pretty good physics as well with tire wear. Now the driving model was improved from NASCAR Heat Evolution and NASCAR Heat 2, but that's not really saying much, because NASCAR Heat Evolution was the worst driving model I've ever played in my entire life, and NASCAR Heat 2 did improve on it. The twitchiness was a little bit gone, tire wear creeped in a little bit, but still not to the point that I want, and the biggest issue with the driving model is the car is not fun to drive. So from NASCAR Heat Evolution and NASCAR Heat 2, what we did is we eliminated the twitchiness and that kind of unpredictability where you couldn't really pass anyone, and the car just felt a lot more stable, felt a little bit heavier, felt like a stock car, better. Now, the next step that has to be taken is implementing those details in a driving model, like tire wear, which tires wear on what part of the car and how that affects the car. In NASCAR Heat 2, I never get loose on the default setup. Never. I have never once on a default setup gotten loose. The only time I'll ever get loose is if I touch the apron a little bit, and even that I think is a little bit harsh, because that doesn't happen every time you hit an apron. The driving model needs to be improved in a way where, first of all, whoever makes the default setups, you gotta make them looser, and when the car is loose, it has to be like a gradual slide. It has to feel heavy. Technics did a great job in this in Inside Line. Inside Line had a nice way of when you started getting loose, and there was a graphic on the right side that showed your tire wear and what part of the tire was heating up, like the outside, the inside, or the middle, and whether it was your right front or right rear. That would wear the tire, and then your car would handle differently, and it would, if you start burning the right rear tire and start getting looser and looser, each corner, each lap, you get looser and looser unless you back out of it. Now that was a game made in 2013 by Technics, and Technics never really made that great of games. Now I know some of the people from Technics maybe could be working on NASCAR Heat 2. I mean, I'm not sure exactly, but they can do it. I can see it done. NASCAR Thunder 2004 had a better driving model than NASCAR Heat 2. It can be done. So they need to put a lot of focus on specifically the tire model, because I think that's where everything will come from. If the tire model behaves properly and the car actually changes lap from lap, not just being tight all the time or loose all the time, but the car reacting to the track, that can be done in a console game. what iRacing does is ridiculous, and it's so realistic, and you're not going to be able to get that into a console game. But the console games can make it fun, where, hey, I'm burning the right rear tire, and maybe I can actually back off a little bit, save my right rear tire, and then go again. Inside Line did a great job of that. Inside Line had one of the best driving physics of a NASCAR game in the last 15 years on consoles. It was a really, really good driving physics. It was just all the glitches and stuff Technics brought with the game that messed it up, and the terrible AI. So that needs to be fixed. Number 4, overall difficulty. Now, I touched on this earlier in career mode. The game has to be harder. And what I think that needs to be done is instead of legend difficulty and all that stuff, in career mode and in the game, they have this already, but they have a slider. It goes from 85 to 105. I think we need to bump that up to 110. Bump the slider up to 110, make the AI faster, give the player more options. So instead of 85 to 105, and 105 is too easy, go from 80 to 110, or 85 to 115. And that way, a player has more options to just play around a few hours with different speed ratings and pick what AI difficulty feels best for them. Now, in career mode, it does work differently because you're in a slower car, and I understand that. But the game overall has to be ticked over to the more difficult side. It is not hard enough whatsoever. Right away, I mean, it's just not. And qualifying, the difference between qualifying and the race is a little bit weird. If I'm in a 3-star car, I always qualify 30th. If I'm in a 5-star car, I've always qualified first. It's a little bit weird. The difficulty needs to be changed. It needs to be a lot harder. I'm not saying make the overall game harder, of course. Just give the option to make it harder. These games are all about options. That's what games are nowadays. You let the player kind of choose how they want to play the game. So if the game is not giving you the option of being difficult enough, that's a problem. So the game has to be way harder in NASCAR Heat 3. And number 5, keep building on what is positive. Now, this game is not bad. NASCAR Heat 2 is not a bad game. There are a lot of positives in the game, and definitely the AI is one of them. The way the AI race with you is good. The rival system, it was introduced. There's a little bit of bugs in there. They actually don't run into me as much as I'd like, and they don't do it in a way that I think is realistic. I feel like they will just try to drive me to the apron, which doesn't make sense, or just run into the back of me down a straightaway. It has to be refined a little bit where they know where they are on the track and they try to hit you in a certain way to actually wreck you. That's good though. So continue building on those things. The AI, the rival system, online multiplayer, in my opinion, is good. But the one thing that needs to be fixed in online multiplayer, which they know, which was at the top of their list for NASCAR Heat 2 but couldn't get into NASCAR Heat 3, this has to be in NASCAR Heat 3, and that is the host of the lobby being able to control when the race starts. Instead of having a 1-minute timer, put us into a practice session, just like NASCAR 09. This is the perfect way. A practice session, and then qualifying, and then the race, with the host of the session having complete control, whether to kick someone, whether to start the session. Now, the one problem that NASCAR 09 had is if the host goes away, and yeah, people are just practicing for a long time, but that doesn't happen often enough to where it becomes an issue. You have to give the host enough time, or just control. So, like I said, when you get into a lobby, instead of just sitting there in a menu and waiting for a minute down to the clock, get into a lobby, go into a practice session, qualify, race, and everything that is when everything happens is determined by the host. The host decides when the race starts, when he wants enough people in the lobby, and there's also game chat, so you're able to communicate with people. You're able to mute people if people are annoying, and the black flag system works in NASCAR Heat 2 as well, so no need to worry about that. They just need to fix that kind of stuff and make it better. It doesn't lag, in my opinion. That's the one really good sign. The servers are good. They don't go down. So that's all really good stuff. We just need to improve it to where if you could make it like NASCAR 09, that is the perfect console online multiplayer. Guys like F1 and Codemasters, they do it wrong, in my opinion. NASCAR Heat 2, the developers of 704 do it right. They just have to get it to that point where it's complete. It's not complete yet. They're down the right path. The whole matchmaking system in racing is terrible. You never want to matchmake. I hate it. You want to be able to pick where you race and what lobby you're in. That's what you want to be in. So they're going in the right direction for that. Those are the initial improvements that are needed for NASCAR Heat 3. Now guys, like I said, comment down below for what you want to be in the game. Remember, this is the time where you have to do it because they are working on the game as we speak. It's in development and it's being created, and you're going through that list of what to add and what can't be added. So you have to let them know what you feel, and what the community wants. Those are just my opinions. I think my opinions line up with the rest of the community very well. So just make sure you go check it out. Reminder, go check out the description below where you could get on the test app for the podcast. I might do a podcast here and there on there. And if you know anyone that does podcasts, tell them to go over to test, because it's going to be a growing community. And also the Richmond Raceway article, go make sure you check that out for the NASCAR Heat 2 League. If you want to do a league on NASCAR Heat 2 with a lot of other people and VIP guests and all that stuff, make sure you check that out as well. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like the button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Hope you're having a great day. And I'm a depressed Arsenal fan right now, so I'm not having a great day right now. Alexis Sanchez just got sold, so I'm not very happy about that. I'll see you guys later. Hope you're having a great day. And peace out.
I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to, and I can't change, even if I tried. My love, she keeps me warm.